So the topic of today's short talk is toxic masculinity and male dominance in the dating marketplace. This particular topic comes to me from a friend of mine who suggested that I talk about it because he wanted to get my perspective. So it's an interesting one, and obviously anything with the dating marketplace and sexual male-female intersexual dynamics, I'm fascinated about. And being a bartender for so many years and a dancer, I got to witness people uh, in a different light. I get to witness people kind of in uncaged elements, if you will. So, first and foremost, men cannot dominate the sexual marketplace. That's number one. Men don't control the sex. Whoever controls the bedroom controls the market. So, you might have a lopsided market like we have today with more women than more men, of course, more women than men, of course, but the quality of men that are available to these women to choose from. I mean, you can ask any woman, and I've talked about the statistics before of most women find most men unattractive, whether that be physically unattractive, financially unattractive, status, whatever it is. Most women find most men unattractive. So men can't dominate that. They can't dominate that market because there's not enough high value, good looking, high status men. There's just not enough. This is why ultimately what ends up happening is women tend to share the guys at the top. Women end up sharing a lot of these guys, whether they know it or not. They end up sharing a lot of these guys at the top because, face the facts, every woman wants those guys. So it creates this lopsided marketplace with women being in complete control. In the West, what happens is sex precedes relationships. That's just how it starts here. We don't start a relationship and then have sex. Sex, then relationship. That's how we do it over here. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's just the way that the Americans do it. So, and women control that. So she's the one who gets to decide when the sex happens. And big picture wise, men want sex. So men are generally going to do whatever's necessary to get sex. This is the game. This is how it works. Women, on the other hand, they're basically they're advertisers. When they go out to the clubs, they're dressed, in this scantily clad outfit, a dress, something revealing, something hot, something very attractive, because they're trying to get the attention of men. Now, every single woman in the world will fight you on that. Every single woman in the world will say, "No, I do it for me. No, I get dressed up when I go to the club for me. I wear my heels and I wear this skirt with this revealing top for me. I do it for me." If that were true, then when you're at home cleaning your house, Sunday mornings when you take that day and you're cleaning the house, cleaning the bathroom, scrubbing the floors, doing all this and that, you would be in those clothes again. If that were true, you were at the house hanging out, watching TV, kicking your feet up on the coffee table. You'd have a full face of makeup, hair completely done, and you'd be in a revealing top. If that was for you, let's quit the games. It's so blatantly obvious that it is not for you, ladies, and it's okay. It is okay. You're attracted to men, men are attracted to you. This is how this works. But women will continually fight you tooth and nail on this. Women advertise what's for sale. Men, being the buyers, choose who they want to potentially try to get with. And for lack of better terms, it is a marketplace. So using this for sale term, no need to get offended. It's just for the sake of argument here. So men are going to do what men do to try to get that. Now, the cost of entry into certain women may be way higher than others. The cost of entry for a woman who's, she's been to yachts, she's been to Dubai, she's been flown out, she's got her DMs flooded, every single place she goes, men are complimenting her, buying her coffee, offering this, an allowance, sugar daddies, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so her cost of entry is going to be exponentially higher than plain Jane, who works maybe at Starbucks, and she's attractive, she's an average girl, and she's going to school and whatever. She's got tons of followers on Instagram. She's got a lot of revealing photos. Her cost of entry is going to be high because she has an overinflated ego at this point because she gets so much validation from men. Now, as far as toxic masculinity is concerned, it's funny to me because the term toxic masculinity only became a thing, I would say, in recent years. I only started hearing this, I didn't even hear that in college. So I would say, in the last 10 years or so, That's when I started hearing that term. But it's funny because it's only toxic until it's needed. If you need a big fireman to come running up 30 flights of stairs to rescue you from this burning building, that's masculinity at its finest because he's a hero. That's a masculine trait. Is that toxic? Because he's saving your life now. So does that change the dynamic of it being toxic? Toxic masculinity is a term that was coined by feminists because, fuck the patriarchy and all this and that, right? But one could make the argument that feminism could never exist without the patriarchy. Because think about the big picture here. Women can't compete with men on the same level physically. They can't compete with men. If all men got together tomorrow and said, hey, you know what? Enough's enough. Nobody's doing shit anymore. And they were ready and willing to physically impose this onto women, there's nothing that women can do. The only reason that women are allowed to be feminists is because we live in a first world patriarchal society, which benefits women more than it benefits men, I would argue. So it's a weird kind of like dynamic where feminism has run rampant in our society and our culture. It's pretty deep in the system now. Most American women are feminists in some way, shape, or form. I would even argue that most men in our culture are feminists. It's fascinating to me where this started, and one can do some research on where and who started feminism in our country. And it might lead you down a little bit of a rabbit hole. I'll leave that up to you guys if you want to look into that. Understand why you guys have the right to do this. That's what I would suggest. Now, I know this is going to fall on deaf ears for most people, and that's fine. I've been doing this for long enough now to where I can read between the lines, and I look at the world with a red-pilled lens. So everything that I research, everything that I read, everything that I hear, every person that I talk to, it's all red pill. It's a red-pilled lens. It's all filtered through a red-pilled lens into my brain. So, and it's all based on logic. It's not based on emotionality. It's not based on anything else but rationality and logic. So when I hear a feminist yelling about the patriarchy, this, that, and the other, well, yeah, you do live in a patriarchy. The United States of America is a patriarchy. It is a patriarchal society, and it should be. The patriarchy is authority. Okay, now one could argue also, and you could even say that men don't even have the authority anymore. We have all the responsibility. You're still required to do X, Y, Z, and be the man and step up, put a ring on it, take care of her, pay her bill, all this stuff. You're required to do that, but you have zero authority. Think about that for a second. You have all the responsibility, but you have zero authority of your house. That's just not the way that it should be. It's kind of like having equal skin in the game. In order for women to have the same rights as men, they should be required to do the same things, right? So if you want to, you could even say, like, in order to be a Marine, you have to do X amount of push-ups, X amount of sit-ups, X amount of pull-ups, run the mile in a certain amount of time, all these things. But when we look at the requirements for the Marines for males and the Marines for females, they're different. The females have different requirements, lower requirements. Why is that? Okay? Think about these things. You have to look at this. If we were equal, we're all, egalitarian society like everybody wants to believe that we are, it would be the same exact requirements. Okay, that's one thing. Police force, another thing. Fire, it's another thing. All these entities have different requirements for males and for females. So again, it's back to my point that patriarchy serves you, ladies. It serves you because men are innate. We are innate protectors. We want to provide and protect for women. Like, I'll hear all this stuff about, oh, he's a toxic masculine, blah, 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 and he hates women and blah, blah, blah. Okay. There are some out there. There are some men that definitely hate women. I'm sure there are. I could imagine so. But the large majority of men are not that way. Do you think the guys that are working in the mines all day, he's there fucking working all day and night, breathing that shit in, 8 to 10 hours a day, 40, 50 hours a week. You think he's really sitting in that mine, like chipping away, like fucking all those fucking women. I just want to make sure their life is horrible. He's doing all this shit in the mines and he's just like wants to just, no. He wants to go to work in the mine. He's working this job, this hard fucking job that no woman will work. He's doing that because he wants to provide for his wife. He's doing that because he wants to provide for his family. That's how men operate. Now, again, there are some men that don't. and that's fine. It's always going to be that. But the exception does not make the rule. Back to my point of having skin in the game. When I turned 18, it was a requirement for me to sign my papers for the Selective Service. For those who don't know, the Selective Service in the United States, basically a document that I had to sign myself over to the government if there was going to be a draft. If there's a major catastrophe, a war, a world war, a Vietnam, whatever it is, I had to sign this. I had to. I could go to jail if I did not sign this paperwork. And I didn't hesitate when I signed it. I've always been proud to be where I'm from. I've always been proud to be an American. I've always been proud to be from here. And as I've gotten older and I've learned more and more about my country, of course it's not perfect. It's like, am I going to get caught up in the bullshit of the past and whatever else and whatever discrepancies that I might have with my country and the system? Yeah, I could sit here all day and talk shit on my country, my government. But it is my country. I have pride in my country. I have pride where I'm from. So signing that document was not a problem for me. I understood the ramifications, fully understood the ramifications of me signing that piece of paper. So if you want to have equal rights to me, why don't you have to sign up for the Selective Service? You didn't have to sign up for Selective Service. You didn't have to sign your life to go onto the front lines and give your body to the government. You didn't have to do that. But you still have the same rights as me, if not more. One could argue that women have more rights today than men do in our country. And we could get into that further in another episode, but the audacity, this is what it comes down to. It comes down to the audacity of, it's like that old term my dad used to say to me when I was a kid. I would complain about the food for dinner. I'd complain about this. Well, I don't want to eat that because it's not what I want. My dad said he slapped me, he hit me, and he said to me, don't you ever bite the hand that feeds you. That statement stuck with me. I thought about that a lot. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. And it seems a lot of people this day and age bite the hand that feeds them. They take a lot for granted, a lot of entitlement. I was an entitled young kid at one point in time until it was basically whooped out of me. And that's why discipline is so important, especially for young kids. So, toxic masculinity doesn't exist. There is only masculinity. Take it or leave it, ladies. There is no such thing as toxic masculinity. It does not exist. This isn't a thing where it's just, you call it toxic when you don't like it, but you call it masculinity when it benefits you or when it saves you or helps you. No, that's not how this works. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. That's number one. Number two, because women control the sexual marketplace, women dictate how things go. A good barometer of your society, of your culture, is look at the sexual marketplace. Look at the women in your country. Look at the women in your culture. A good barometer to tell you how that country is, how that culture is, how unified they are, how divided they are, how lopsided is the market. Take a look at the women. If women want something to change in the marketplace, they need to change it. We constantly hear this term, all men are trash, right? Men are assholes, men are trash, men are this, men are that. It's always men. It's always men's fault. Well, if men would do better, we would too. Do you have no agency? Do you have no agency about you? Everything that you do is determined by how men do it or how men act? Think about that. You have zero agency if everything that you do revolves around how men act or how men do things. It's all about, well, if men would do this, then we would too, right? Okay. So you're basically saying right there that I have no agency. Everything I do is determined by men. So it's an interesting time. It's super fascinating to me to sit here and listen to certain people talk about this topic. It's not based on feelings. There's reals and there's feels in this world. And most of the things that I do and how I interact and how I carry myself and how I make my judgment calls and how I come to rational conclusions, how I become a deductive problem solver is based on fact, not feelings. How many times do we have to get on TikTok and see these women, listen to these women talk about how men are trash, right? But ladies, you're the ones choosing these men that are apparently trash. Women do the picking. Women decide who gets picked. Men don't decide that. I mean, if you want to talk about the top 1%, which we could, but women do the choosing. Like you guys choose who gets access, and that's how this goes. So until ladies want to understand that, which I have zero hope that they will, I'm just here to observe and report, and I'm here to ask questions. I want to connect some dots, and I want to see what everybody else thinks about it. So until next time.